Good morning and welcome to day 3 of this 3-part series where we're really looking at understanding, honoring, even valuing the information that's available in our fear and judgment, and also looking to alchemize that to open ourselves up to other parts of our brain and other parts of our life experience and other ways of relating to other human beings and cultivating more understanding and more love. So, understanding of you and love for you, and obviously what is within also flows without. So, in that self understanding and self love, we're able to understand and love other people as well. So, thank you for joining me. Today I'm describing today as an invitation. Initially, in my little drafts of what I was going to talk about, I titled it What to Focus on Instead, but I decided I didn't really like the instructional nature of that. I would much prefer for this to feel like an invitation. I hope it is my intention. I don't, you let me know if I succeed or not, but it's always my intention to just offer a perspective, to offer a pathway to empowerment, and you are more than welcome to try that on the same as you would try on an outfit in a change room and decide that it's not for you. But even the process of trying things on, trying on different perspectives, it's very, very rich for our brain. It's very rich for it enriches our perspective and our capacity to receive new information. And this is how we learn and grow. So even at the end of it, if you decide whatever's offered, whether it's from me or from someone else, isn't for you, in order to accept the new information enough to critique it and try it on, you've come out of survival brain. In survival brain, like I was explaining yesterday, we're not open to any new information. This is why it's so hard to have a respectful conversation with someone with a different point of view if one or both of you are afraid. So I celebrate you for just joining me in potentially a different perspective, and just know there is value in that, even if at the end of it, it's not for you. So today is an invitation on what you may choose to focus on instead, or how you may choose to do this differently. I'm going to have a sip of water. I did some running around before I came on, and I need to follow my own advice because step 1 of potentially what you might want to focus on instead, step 1 is relax. So isn't that perfect? Now, inviting you into an experience of relaxation, let me first of all be really clear about what this is not. So by relaxing, I don't mean you're ignoring what's going on. I don't mean that you're in denial. What I'm encouraging, following on from yesterday's explanation of survival brain and the more recently developed parts of the human mind, which are capable of invention and compassion and love and understanding and, really problem solving, to paraphrase Einstein, like we can't solve a problem from within the energy of the problem. We need to look at it from a different perspective. Relaxing gives you access to those other parts of the brain. Now, whatever plan you come up with for yourself, whether it's short term or long term, that plan is going to be a lot more efficient, a lot more productive, and eventually, in practice, a lot more useful than any kind of plan that you come up with from survival brain, which is going to be very, very immediate and very, very closed and very protected. So relaxation is a physiological process. Now, if you have a meditation practice, it is different to meditation. Relaxation is allowing your body's tension to dissipate. Now, I have a relaxation practice that I do every morning, and it really is head to toe just allowing my mind to relax, my throat to relax, my chest to relax, my skin to relax. There's different words each day, but there's just an invitation of relaxing and letting go and just being in the stillness. Now, because I've practiced this, I'm able to access relaxation if I'm loading the dishwasher, if I'm stuck in traffic, like I can practice it at other times. So I described to you a sort of a formal process that I practice, that I was taught by an amazing woman called Sarah McCrum. And if you're interested in learning what I've learning, just tag me in a message and I'll give you a link to her website, because I find her work has really transformed my life experience in terms of how calm I am most of the time. But relaxation is very individual. What I do works for me. It doesn't mean that it'll work for you, because I'm not you and you're not me. So a really beautiful question to ask yourself, if you find yourself in fear, in judgment, or in tension. So these are often when we're in very high beta brain waves, busy, stressful brain waves. When you find yourself in that place, I invite you to just take one conscious breath. You don't have to close your eyes or sit cross-legged or anything, and just ask yourself, what would relax me right now? Just ask the question. It's like dropping a stone in a still pool. It's like, ask the question and see what happens. And all of us in those high beta brainwaves, and believe me, I've lived it, breathed it, done it. I've had to learn this task myself. It feels like we're too busy to stop and ask this question, and we're definitely too busy to actually action the answer of that question. But the reality is, if in the middle of your day you can stop and go and have a wee because you need to, you've also got time for the 1 minute of asking this question and potentially doing whatever comes to mind. So when you ask yourself, what would relax me right now? Your answer might be, go outside and just feel the sun on your face for 5 seconds. It might be breathe. Your answer will most likely come from your life experience, because it's hard to, do you know what I mean? Most of our ideas kind of come as a combination of things we've already experienced. Not always, but most of the time. What relaxes you might be dancing. What relaxes you might be talking to that positive friend. What relaxes you might be silence. Whatever it is okay, but there's something really magical that happens when we ask ourselves that question. What would relax me right now? And just play, even if it's once a day, with asking yourself that question and just allowing a 5-minute window to do whatever your wisdom says. And I would really love to hear what happens. It's a very powerful, very useful sentence, and don't let the simplicity of it make you ignore it. Well, there we go. That's another directional thing. I invite you not to dismiss it because of the simplicity. Often our mind, especially when we're busy, we want a very busy, complicated answer because that makes us feel like we're doing something. So just witness that. It's a bit of an addiction in modern Western society to be busy and, complicated. And I've got a very able and active mind, and it really loves big, complex things to sort out. But relaxing isn't a big, complex thing. It's actually deeply simple, and it's a skill set too. So just step one of, this invitation of what to focus on instead is step one, relaxation. Because from a place of relaxation, you're actually able to access more of your intelligence, more of your compassion, more of your heart, more of your kindness, and more understanding, and absolutely more of your love. So that is step one. Step two is an invitation to focus on yourself. So in judgment and in fear, we tend to neurologically be quite focused on the other person. And like I explained yesterday, it is the standard experience to find that other person's point of view or behavior dangerous. So I talked about that last time. I don't have to go back over that now. So step 2 is that invitation to bring that energy that you might want to be using to focus on what other people are doing, to focus on you. So step 1 is definitely relax first. Step 2 is focusing on you. And I invite you to ask the question, how do I feel called to participate? So from my perspective, loving is a verb. It's a doing word. Love isn't really passive. When you love someone, you want to reach out and hug them. You want to reach out and help them. You want to be part of solutions. When we love ourselves, we put time and energy into self-nurturing. There's an aliveness to that energy, if that makes sense, rather than when we feel flat, there's a heaviness. Love is very alive from my experience. So in that relaxation, when we ask ourselves, how do I feel called to participate? Or whatever version of that question, how can I be part of the solution? The question I ask myself is, how can I best serve the whole? Is my kind of morning question to life. And that's where I get ideas like running this 3-day event, but it's also where I get ideas for how to, love and nurture me and other people in my life and my children and things like that. So your question doesn't have to be that. Your question can be yours because we're individuals. But the essence of it is, from a place of relaxation, ask, how do I feel called to participate? What do I want to contribute to life and what matters to me? Now, you may be called to participate in a really vocal way. So I know there's been a lot of partitions that have passed through my life in social media and emails of late. There's an AGL gas project that would affect the Western Port Bay that I've become aware of. There's many different changes to laws and things that I didn't know about, that I know about because people that I know or am connected to feel called to participate in a vocal way, in a way that kind of gathers people together for a movement. And I'm so grateful that there are those people. That said, it doesn't mean that that's what everyone is called to do as part of their participation. And I want to invite you from this place of love and understanding not to judge how anyone else is called to participate. So you may be called to participate in a very vocal way. And so if that's you, I encourage you to come back all the way through to what we did in session 1, and we touched on it in session 2 as well, is if you're called to be vocal, can you do it without condemnation of the other side or the other opinions? Can you do it in a way that is respectful without the very overt need to point out that you think the other side is stupid? Like, is there a way of doing it from a place of love? I know for me this year, like I've said, I've been exposed to so many different opinions, and I've seen polarity in a more dramatic way than ever before in my whole life. But it's actually opened me up to more information and more understanding than I've had in my life as well. But I'm really only drawn to people that are able to explain their perspective in a grounded way without insulting me or insulting other people. Like, I'm personally turned off by nastiness. So it's like, if the calling inside of you is to help people see your perspective and what you feel is the truth, perhaps you would have a greater impact if you did that in a grounded, loving, respectful way. If you allowed that underneath the fear, like I said, we're all connected by love for humanity. If you allowed that to shine, perhaps you would feel less stressed inside your body because you're focused on love rather than on fear, and perhaps you would have a greater impact. That's just something I'm thinking out loud. So you may be called to participate in a vocal way in that kind of contribution. you may be called to really, like, your essence is saying, just withdraw, just disconnect from that, just, look after you. And that is okay. People who are doing that aren't out causing a problem. So if we can deeply honor what each other are called to do, some beautiful things can happen. And if you happen to believe that we are all one energetically, well, the master in the mountain meditating on love and compassion is helping to uplift the world. The person who isn't an activist but is just really kind and respectful whenever they interact with another person is also part of the solution. And the activists of the world are also part of the solution. I was saying with to a client this morning how my life is the the living embodiment of what so many women and men, but mostly women before me, fought for. So all of those women in generations before me that marched for the rights that I now have, like, I'm so grateful for them. So it is a beautiful thing to have, and not everyone agreed at the time, and there was anger and there was resistance and there was all of that. But when people get together en masse and share, beautiful societal change can happen. And what I'm saying, like our digestive process, there's fresh parts that come in, there's old parts that move away. In a society, there's newness that comes in and there's older parts that drop away. And let's not judge any of it. If we can love the whole, and if you can relax, and if you can ask yourself, how genuinely do I feel called to participate, and love yourself enough to do that, then you're not adding stress and shoulds and, do you know what I mean, all of this pressure to the whole. And I celebrate all of you, whatever it is that you feel called to participate in, that is your choice. So really what today is about is really using your biology, your ability to direct your mind and your focus, your biology and your free will to choose what you focus on. And there is so many studies that have been done on what happens when we have a gratitude practice, what happens in the energy of love as opposed to the energy of fear. There's lots of, amazing research out there, and I'm not going to talk to all of that. What I really wanted to gain from these 3 sessions together is a real homecoming to the sovereignty of you, to really understand that human beings are all capable of being afraid. Human beings are all capable of seeing their position as right and having an opposite position who feel like the enemy. And the most atrocious things happen on our planet when human beings stay there, when total strangers kill each other based on belief systems. And I would love to see us and feel us as a collective humanity rising up out of that. So when we can understand, you're in fear, I have my own fear, I understand that, we can come out of the judgment of it. When we can love ourselves as the work in progress that we are, none of us are perfect. We're so much more able to see other human beings as the work in progress they are. And in summing up today, really step 1, if to come out of the tension and the drama and the panic, is to relax. Doesn't mean being ignorant. It means giving your body everything it needs to be as resourced as it can be. And relaxing is incredibly good for your immune system as well. Stress pulls all of our resources into the immediate, and it kind of cuts off the body's ability to do healing, maintenance, repair, like long-term health projects aren't prioritized by the body when we're stressed. So when we're relaxed, it's like the body knows it can do those long-term, healing projects. So step one is really relax, and step two is really focus on you. You are the only person that you have total control over changing. And one person can make an incredible difference. But the people that make amazing, well, the people that I've really admired historically that make an amazing difference do that from a place of love. So I want you to know that that is possible, that whatever you feel called to contribute, do that with your beautiful, loving heart. And just know that there are lots of people around the world who feel as you do, who understand you. All of us in humanity, everyone is better off when we're able to access less fear and judgment and more understanding and love of ourselves and of each other. So that brings these 3 sessions to a close. Thank you so much to those of you that have reached out and just let me know what you've gotten from this sharing. It's always so beautiful to hear that. And thank you to those of you that watch and don't, I know that there's people that watch that don't comment or say anything, and you are absolutely allowed to do that. So I just thank all of you. If there is something that you feel like you want to talk about with me, please feel free to reach out and let's have a chat. If there's a way of, that first conversation with me is always free. We just talk things through. If I feel like I'm a good fit for the goals that you have for yourself and your life, then we'll talk about working together. And if not, then, I've got a great network of people to refer onto, or maybe I just help you in that free conversation and that's enough for you in that moment. So please feel free to reach out if you feel inspired to. And I will see you next time when I've asked this question of how can I best serve the whole, and I get an answer to do another thing like this. So thank you so much for listening. Huge amounts of love from my heart to yours. Bye for now.